Have you ever dreamed of visiting the past? Seeing dinosaurs, maybe meeting your ancestors, or even just reliving one of your favorite memories? It's a question that has absolutely obsessed us for generations. But as we're about to see, the past isn't just gone, it's locked away.
So let's just dive right in. I mean, think about it. We can move forward, backward, left, and right in space. But time? That just seems to be a one-way street, doesn't it? What is actually stopping us from just turning around and heading back?
Well, the answer, it turns out, is a kind of cosmic fortress. The past is guarded by a whole series of, well, basically impenetrable walls, built from the fundamental laws of physics. So let's explore these walls together, starting with the one we bump into every single day. Okay, so our first barrier is probably the most intuitive one, the arrow of time itself. And this isn't just some philosophical concept. It is a hard and fast rule of physics, and it's all about disorder. It's called the Second Law of Thermodynamics, and it's all about something called entropy, which, is really just a scientific way of saying disorder or messiness. Think about it. A clean room can get messy in a million different ways, right? But a messy room will never just spontaneously tidy itself up. The universe is exactly the same. It is always moving toward more mess, more disorder. So let's think about what this really means for time travel. To go backward, you'd have to reverse the state of the entire universe. I mean, it's like trying to unscramble an egg or unmix cream from your coffee, but on a cosmic scale. Every single particle interaction, everywhere, would have to run perfectly in reverse. The odds are they're beyond impossible. And this one-way street, it was paved at the very beginning of everything. The Big Bang started in the state of incredibly low entropy, super, super high order. And ever since that moment, the universe has just been unwinding, expanding, and getting more and more disordered. That whole process is what we experience as the forward flow of time. So, okay, thermodynamics seems to just slam the door shut. But what about Einstein? His theory of general relativity describes gravity as the warping of spacetime, and it actually seems to offer some pretty clever workarounds, secret passages in the fortress, if you will. The only catch? It looks like all of these doors are locked from the inside. In theory, if you could warp space-time just right, you could create something called a closed time-like curve. And these are basically pathways that loop back on themselves, allowing an object to arrive at a point in its own past. It is, for all intents and purposes, the basic recipe for a time machine. Now, physicists have come up with several mathematical models for how these curves might work. You can see a few of them here. You've got Gödel's rotating universe, the Tipler cylinder, but they all share the exact same fatal flaw. They require conditions that just plain don't exist in our universe. We don't have an infinitely long cylinder, for example, and our universe is expanding, it's not rotating. So yeah, the math works on paper, but in reality, they're just ghosts. And even if you could find a pass, you'd run smack into the classic paradoxes, like the grandfather paradox. Physics has two main ideas to try and solve this. On the one hand, you've got Novikov's principle, which says you can't change the past at all. Whatever you do was always a part of it. On the other hand, the many worlds idea suggests you just create a whole new timeline in a parallel universe. But either way, you're not actually changing your history. All right, let's move on to the next wall, which is, believe it or not, even more formidable. This isn't just a passive barrier, it's an active defense system, and it's powered by the incredibly strange rules of quantum mechanics. You can think of it as the fortress's high-tech alarm system. The great Stephen Hawking put it just perfectly. He suspected that the universe has its own built-in mechanism to prevent the kind of chaos that time travel would cause, and he called this the Chronology Protection Conjecture. The conjecture is basically this. The laws of physics themselves will actively conspire to stop a time machine from ever working. It's almost as if the universe has its own chronology protection agency that just swoops in and shuts down any attempt to mess with history at the very moment it begins. So how would this protection actually work? Well, imagine you use a wormhole as a time machine. The very instant it opens a path to the past, tiny particles from the quantum vacuum would start looping through it. A particle exits in the past, re-enters in the present, creating this insane feedback loop. This would build up energy to an infinite level, and the resulting gravity would instantly, and I mean instantly, destroy the wormhole. The time machine literally self-destructs before it can ever be used. And honestly, the problems start way before you even get to that point. Just to hold a wormhole open in the first place, you'd need something called exotic matter, a substance with negative energy. The problem? Well, as far as we know, this kind of matter it doesn't exist in our universe.
And the scale we're talking about here is it's staggering. To create a traversable wormhole just 1 meter across, you'd need an amount of this hypothetical negative energy that's equivalent to the mass of several galaxies, all concentrated down into that tiny space. So the material requirements alone put it firmly in the realm of impossibility.
So far, we've seen walls built from thermodynamics, from relativity, and from quantum mechanics. But the final wall, the very foundation of the fortress, might be the nature of reality itself. It suggests that the smooth, continuous timeline we think we could travel on might not even exist.
Now, this idea comes from theories of quantum gravity, which try to unite Einstein's relativity with quantum mechanics. And at the unbelievably tiny Planck scale, our familiar concepts of space and time they break down completely.
The two leading theories here offer different pictures, but they both point to the same conclusion. Loop quantum gravity, on the left, suggests that space-time is made of these tiny, indivisible chunks, kind of like pixels on a screen. There's no smooth river of time to travel down. And string theory, on the right, proposes that the fundamental physics of reality just naturally prevents these paradoxes from ever forming. Either way, the message is the same. The universe is built from the ground up to prevent a path to the path. So when you stack it all up, you really see the fortress, don't you? It's not just one law of physics saying no. It's a conspiracy. You've got the unbreakable arrow of time, the impossible doors of relativity, the quantum self-destruct system, and the very fabric of reality at the foundation. Every single layer of physics works together to protect the integrity of the past.
Which leaves us with a final thought. We often think of time's one-way nature as a limitation, right? Like a prison. But maybe we should see it differently. Maybe the fact that the past is a locked door isn't a flaw in the universe at all. Maybe it's the most essential feature, the very structure that ensures causality holds, that logic works, and that a consistent reality can even exist in the first place.